Good morning! One class down. Don't know why. Just if you don't sing the word morning, it just doesn't feel right. Anyways, I'm one class down. I've got me big man picked up and taking a quick walk through the park. We're gonna pick up my potato and then we're gonna take a joint longer walk together to the marshes, I think. So on Tuesdays I have a morning class and then I have in the evening back-to-back 3 classes, but the middle part of the day is free, so I can basically choose whatever I want to do, and that way it's pretty flexible if I have some macrame projects going on, if I need to do some editing, some admin, content, whatever, or just rest, walk the dogs. Good boy, come. Good boy. And sit. Excellent. Hello, my name is Frederica. If you are new here, welcome to this space. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit a like, subscribe and hit that bell button. It's such a long sentence to say. You know the drill. I'm a full-time yoga teacher and I live in London. In 2020 I decided to take my teacher training. I used to work in hospitality and retail and I was sick and tired of it. So in 2022 I quit my job completely and became a full-time teacher. I was already teaching part-time alongside my job before that, but I took the leap and I haven't regretted it since, so I'm here sharing with you how it's going and hopefully inspiring you to do something similar for yourself. Let's get in! Some of you might remember, some might not, but last year I was doing quite a bit of like dog walking and dog boarding. I got into it when I was transitioning to going full-time yoga, and it was like a nice little side hustle. And I don't really take on new clients anymore, but I still have a couple of returning customers, and one of them is this big man who comes to me weekly on the days that I can take him. And then I have a few that come for boarding, but that's about it because in my full-time schedule I don't have any more time, but it's still really nice because it's good for Spud for socializing as he's a bit of a grump. And I really enjoy dog sitting and working with dogs on their behaviors and training. I'm not like by any means a professional dog trainer, but I have learned a couple bits along the way. My big baby. If you are looking for a plant that's easy to care for, snake plants are great. And they look really cool. Okay, here's the whatever survived. It was a period where I just wasn't doing well with my mental health, and taking care of my plants was not on my priority list. So I nipped out to pick up some newspaper by the station for my repotting adventure, and then I just thought I'm gonna nip into the shop that's actually called Repot. The king favors. Charles is a real foodie who loves popping into the kitchen and finding out what's fresh from the garden, says Darren. Rumours that breakfast started with 7 boiled eggs, allowing Charles to choose one that had been cooked to perfection. Oh, Mr. Royalty. He's got people cooking him 8 eggs. 7, sorry. So then he can pick the perfect one. One sparked an angry denial from the king. Of course, who wouldn't deny this? Instead, according to Darren, his breakfast consists of 6 home-produced honeys and plums growing in his garden. Darren says he always asks for 2 plums, but only eats 1. So once I sent down 1 only, and the request came back that he wanted 2 for his plate. So what? The second plum isn't sad. But then he's gonna be sad when you eat 1, and you don't eat the other one. Charles, that doesn't make sense. Charles famously skips lunch, and at tea time he loves strawberries in season and cream. Darren says, well, I can relate to that. Darren says when painting he loves a slice of fruit or plum cake. I didn't know he was painting, you know. Right, the Majesty shall be coronated this Saturday. They dedicated a whole big page to this bullshit. This is why the only acceptable way to use this paper is for cleaning and repotting. Oh, and with fire making thingy. In the next vlog, I'm going out this Maybank holiday with my girlfriends for a picnic, and it happens to be on the day when the coronation happens, so I'm sure there will be lots of interesting stuff going on in the town, so we'll bring you along. And after picnic we're going to pottery class. Let's do it. Hey! Hey! Stay put. Now, I don't know where my gardening gloves went. I think I just got rid of them ages ago, so I'm gonna be using rubber gloves and a spoon to spoon things out. It is what it is, okay? Don't judge me, I'm not a pro, but I'm passionate. I don't know why I haven't put the newspaper actually across the entire floor. Because I defeated the purpose of even going out to get it. Guess it's too late now. It's too late to say sorry. Ching, ching, ching. This is really not fitting here. We'll figure it out. That is the aftermath. Still need to actually repot 2 more plants, so I don't know if I should do a second time lucky and go into the shop again and try if they're open to buy more compost. But yeah, I don't know. I'm quite tight now on time, so I'm definitely gonna tidy this bit up and then see what happens. And look, there's a baby monstera. I put it here separately next to her mother. That's me, Ella. That's the donut. The big neurodivers means that your understanding of time is very skewed, and like, I don't know, 1 second I know where I am in the day and like, you know, whatever, and next minute I am very disoriented. It's not that I don't understand the time when I look at the clock, it's not what I mean. It's like how much time I have left until the next thing I need to do, let's say. So thought I had 1 hour left, and then I looked at the time again and I had to like work it out on my fingers, and then I was like, oh no, actually I have 2 hours until I need to like leave for the class that I'm gonna teach in the evening. So yeah, turns out I can go sushi. Someone has relocated themselves. Did you try my tea? Is that why? I left my tea there. Okay, Mr. Jealous, come out. So on my Instagram poll, I asked you guys, what is it that you'd like to hear from me in the next couple of videos? So as you can see, I'm doing this vlog format where we're also chatting a bit. And I offered you 2 topics and I actually got a 50-50 votes on the poll. So you guys were undecisive or you just loved both, hard to tell. And I actually like both topics, so we will be including them. But I can't fit them into today's video, so stay tuned because the next video coming up will be a vlog across the coronation weekend, which is by the way today, with my friends. We're gonna be going to a pottery class, having lots of fun this afternoon, and also incorporating your questions from my Instagram. So before this video goes up, the next one, you have almost a full week. Leave in this video's comment section what are your struggles to start a yoga routine or start going to yoga classes. If you were thinking of getting into yoga, what is it that's holding you back from going to a studio or just giving it a go? So you may have heard before like, oh, this is really good. You probably know someone who does it and you're like, I see what you mean, but like I can't really, blah, blah, blah. So what is it that's holding you back? Are there any fears? Are there any struggles that are practical struggles, like you don't have a good class near you, you don't know how to look for classes? What is it that's holding you back? So I can give you my perspective on it. Good morning. Or not. But girls gotta back up. It was literally cooked well. And I was like, let me just give it another minute on the grill setting instead, just to get it like extra crispy on the outside. Well, it did get extra crispy, didn't it? Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's very kind. Now I need to wash my face, but I know it was meant with love. Oh my goodness. So we're living for this balcony. Success. You can't really stand from that balcony. Help! Why is this my life? You stop licking the air. You're not getting nothing. Was within the 5-second rule. Don't eat the crumbs. They're not doggy safe. And the video after that will be the second theme that I asked you about and you were really interested, and that is how to sequence a class. This is great for someone who's starting out teaching, but also someone who's been practicing yoga for a while themselves. They know a fair amount of poses and they're wondering how to make it into a sequence, how to create a self-practice at home. So that video will be for you. That will be in 2 weeks' time then. So today's video, on the other hand, we will just kind of talk about what actually yoga is. So I've just had a really quick breakfast, nice sips of coffee, and then we are heading out to get our friend Rio. We're going to take a nice long walk together, have some fun. I'm teaching midday, well at 1 p.m. and I booked a class before that to attend myself. It's really close to where I'm teaching. This is walking distance. But I might actually skip it, we'll see. Oops. So what is yoga, where it came from, and what does it look like in the modern day? How can you pick a yoga class? How to pick the right class for you? Because there's so many. So you probably, one of the things is when you go onto like a studio and you see all the names and you're like, what the fuck, what am I supposed to sign up first? So I'm gonna do my best to break it down without making it super long. Good boy, Rio. It makes me so happy when he walks on the floor on his own. He sometimes does it, he sometimes gets really scared. So he just needs reassurance. You walk next to him and then he like trots along, but he needs a little encouragement. Big baby. Right, time for tea. How much tea is too much tea? Voila. Good job. Good job. Sit. On this. Lovely. Oh, we all fit on the sofa. So good. He stole my spot. I guess he's doing office hours. There's my ride or die. I'm also wearing head-to-toe denim. Literally, my hat is denim. My jacket and my jeans. Is that a look or is this awkward? I don't know. I didn't realize until I put the hat on what was going on. There's a chippy, a lime, and what the fuck is that? Honestly, teaching classes and dog walking and dog sitting. Okay, so let's dive right in. What is yoga? So yoga as a practice originated in India and it's thousands and thousands of years old. We don't actually know exactly how old. Some people say it's 3,000 plus years old. It's really hard to tell how old it really is because it was before any of like written documentations would exist, so we didn't have scriptures, and so it was verbally passed down. And yoga is essentially a journey, the path to enlightenment. So the idea is that you clear your mind and you find this state of contentment and you are happy to stay there. And you're completely detached from the material world, nothing is holding you back. Your mind, your ego mind, that's what we call in yoga, is that part of the brain that constantly judges you and tells you everything's wrong, is not holding you back. So you're fully content. So I hope this is like a easy way to kind of explain it. I'm trying to not go too much, you know, fancy talk. This is not a yoga teacher training. This is making it accessible to everyone to kind of have a picture of what this practice is. So initially it was actually more focused on, you could say, meditation. So really just like sitting down and focusing on your mind and clearing your mind, and then it sort of got layered up with other things like values and ways to live. So all of this kind of guidance around it. So what are the other steps that you can take for your mind to stay clear, not just when you sit down, but also when you communicate with people, when you are interacting with the world around you. I'm home again. That class was really nice, really good, loved it. I love teaching this class. It's at Limehouse, Pure Gym, if you want to come. It's on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. It's really fun, and yeah, we had a good time. I had a nice bike ride, nice and sunny. Same way on the way back. It was actually pretty warm already on the way back, so that's really lovely. I'm just gonna do the dishes. That's why I'm squatting down. Have me soup, it's warming up, and do some work again from the balcony, because it's a shame not to use it in such a good weather, especially now that I tied it up. Like I said last week, chores never end, and I'm fucking sick and tired of it. I don't want to adult anymore. If someone could pay for my lifestyle and get me a maid, that would be appreciated. Thank you! Now, if you don't want to pay me for a maid, you can buy me a coffee, since I'm a coffee addict. That would also do me well. Linked in the bio of this, in the description of this video. My back hurts now. Same meal, different day. Are you looking at me, stranger? I can see you. So last week, I will never grow up. Asanas. So asana is the Sanskrit word for what we call in English poses. So when you go to a modern day yoga class, they are all focused on pretty much the poses. So that's kind of the tool to help you settle your mind, because essentially what we're doing, what we are trying to do in these poses is really focus the mind on one single thing. So you're not distracted by your work, you're not distracted by your responsibilities, by other things. All you're focusing on is what you are doing and what you're experiencing in a moment, what you feel in your body in that pose. So it's almost like tiny little bits of meditation, you could say it. It's not, but like, you get the idea, you get the gist of it. So that prepares you, that the sequences of yoga poses and going through them prepares your body, your physical body, by opening it, by releasing tension, by creating more strength and stability and balance. And same for your mind at the same time. You're preparing yourself to then sit down to meditate and find a journey to enlightenment. That's kind of the idea. So when you go to a modern day yoga class, most of the classes are, like I said, focused around the physical postures. But we've got different styles, and each style will offer something different. So the question that you need to ask yourself is, what is it that you want from the yoga class? So what is it that you need on the day? Like checking with your body and your mind. Am I feeling tired and sleepy? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel lots of tension? Maybe what I need is a little bit of love and care, a little bit of support, slowing down. So maybe then a type of class that you're looking for is in that pace, in that frame, right? So that could be Hatha yoga, that could be slow flow. Slow flow is essentially a modern name for Hatha yoga, just to be clear. Flow to restore is essentially a flow class that's usually an easier pace class, maybe for the first 30 minutes, let's say. And the second half is usually poses that are on the mat that we hold a little bit longer. So It's the mixture of a restorative yoga class and a flow kind of class. I'm gonna go into more detail in a second, but just to kind of get the quick explanation. And then you also have restorative classes and yin yoga classes. So they're very similar, but they are different. So they have a slightly different philosophy in a way, a different reason why. So restorative classes are used for if you're recovering from injury and things like that. That's what restorative yoga is for. So they're both on the floor, you're holding the same pose for several minutes. And you're using support. But the restorative yoga is more informed around injury and recovering from injury and recovering pain and these type of things from the body. Where yin yoga is meant for people that don't necessarily have injuries. It's more like you are already all healthy, etc. But you need a deep release of your tissues, of your soft tissues. So, you know, your muscles, your tendons and all of that. Just to be clear, this is not going to be a warrior 2 for 5 minutes. That your arms would fall off probably. This is poses on the ground, very cozy, and you are using this big tube-like cushion called a bolster, blocks, you're using blankets, so you're making every pose, you're wrapping yourself on top of these props, so you're not forcing yourself to like deep stretch, but you are held by the props. And when you hold that pose for long while you're so cozy, your mind relaxes, and then that allows the muscles to lengthen and release, and you find that deep release. So the common mistake to make when you go to yin yoga class, I've done it, hands up, I've done it, is to like, you look around and you see some people that are hypermobile, and you start thinking that that's the shape I'm supposed to be in, like I'm supposed to be like a pancake on the ground, nice and flat. So you're like pulling and clenching, but what happens is when you're pulling and clenching, you're doing exactly the opposite because your muscles start to contract and shorten. So, and then you're gonna feel more pain and more discomfort. So yoga is that a link where you use the breath to connect the mind and body in a way. There's different types of breaths that you can use throughout all of these different classes and in your everyday life. There are breaths that are very energizing, that will be very uplifting and empowering, and then there are breaths that are releasing and softening. So in the poses that you want to hold for long and you want to create that soft release, you create a really long exhale. So your exhale is longer than your inhale. That's one way to go about it. So yin yoga and restorative yoga therefore are probably the best for relaxing tension and anxiety. However, they can be also the most challenging ones, because anytime you hold the pose for a long time, you might notice if you've done a yoga class, there is what they call a shavasana at the end, so corpse pose. So you're literally laying down on a mat, looking like a corpse, hence the name, for 5 minutes plus, ideally. And that sometimes is the hardest part, because your mind starts to wander and you starts to plan, you have an inner chatter going on. So staying in these poses for a long time is challenging, not just for the body but also for the mind, which is why it's a really good way to get to meditation. So if you struggle with a full meditation, then practicing more classes like yin yoga or restorative yoga will help you to get there. Now, the more dynamic type of classes, so like vinyasa and all types of vinyasa, so you've got ashtanga, you've got power flow, you've got all sorts of dynamic vinyasa. The names are just there to kind of suggest you, mostly with the modern names, are there to just suggest you the pace or the energy of the class. What is it that you're gonna get out of it? The more traditional names, they might be more specific. So for instance, Ashtanga focuses on a sequence. You've got a sequence and it's always the same sequence that you follow from start to finish, and there's different layers of it. So you start from like the beginner sequence and you keep progressing. By memorizing the same sequence, you can then practice on your own, and you can practice it daily. You don't need your teacher. And the idea is that you are repeating the same thing, and through that repetition, that you don't need to think about where I'm putting what, it's automated, you can again achieve that deep relaxation of the mind, right? So you can really withdraw within. Ashtanga yoga for this is amazing. However, the struggle I'm having with Ashtanga yoga is it really depends on how it's being taught when it's a led class, because Ashtanga traditionally doesn't use these props like the blocks, etc., makes it really inaccessible for lots of bodies. So you just need to bear in mind it's okay for you to use the blocks and make adjustments. The way that Ashtanga was created was practiced a lot by like young boys in India, and so lots of the alignment focuses on the body types of young boys. And if you imagine a young Indian boy is gonna be this like me, slim little flat thing, okay, with not huge hips. So it's lots of like it's very linear in a way, and most bodies and lifestyles that we live today, whilst we haven't had a modality practice throughout like our upbringing, we are very stiff, so we won't fit those poses, so we need to make adjustments. And yeah, so sometimes what I can see with Ashtanga practice, I'm not saying it's all the time, and it's definitely not the purpose of, like, it's not the intention that, or the message that should be translated during Ashtanga, but sometimes it comes across like this, is that you must do it in a certain way, and if you don't, then you're doing it wrong. So that's the kind of thing when you hear that, to kind of take a step back and take everything with a grain of salt in a way. It's okay for you to modify things and adapt them to yourself. So because of this, Ashtanga can feel a little bit intense, and it's also quite dynamic because you're moving per breath. So the teacher will be just like saying the names of the poses in Sanskrit. I've seen a couple classes where people were using also Sanskrit and English, but very often it's just Sanskrit, and so you just have to be like looking around and see what other people are doing and getting quickly in the shape. But because there's lots of repetition and it's every week the same thing, or however many times you take it in a week, the class, you're gonna get into it. But the first few classes will be really challenging for your mind and for the tempo. So if you are brand new to yoga, Ashtanga isn't the one that I would take as my first class personally, because you're either gonna love it or you're gonna literally hate it. So, and I don't think Ashtanga is bad at all, but it's definitely inaccessible for many people for many different reasons, and it's really hard to find a teacher that can teach it in a very inclusive way and doesn't make you feel excluded from the room from the rest of the people that know what's going on. And then there are other dynamic classes as well, like for instance Power Yoga. Power Yoga, I would say it's basically like a Vinyasa yoga, again, similar to Ashtanga, you're moving on the breath. It's great for like kind of strengthening and conditioning the body and creating that heat. So if that's what you need from your physical practice on the day, you need movement, you need strength, then Power Yoga or any type of Vinyasa yoga will be great for that. And then Hatha Yoga will be basically where all of these originated, but a little bit slower. So you do each pose, and usually you can hold a pose for like 3 to 5 breaths. It depends on what's going on. And again, you're transitioning on a breath, but then, so let's say you get to Warrior 2, and then you take 3 to 5 breaths here, depending on what the teacher's cueing, and then you exhale to move into your reverse warrior. Now you're gonna hold this one for 3 to 5 breaths. So it's a lot slower, and you have a lot more time to kind of feel it in your body, to take the little adjustments, activate the right little muscles, and it still can be a really strong practice. So just because a practice is slower in pace, it doesn't mean it's necessarily easier. I've taken some really badass Hatha yoga classes, and they were really challenging and I loved it, but they were accessible because they were thought with in a way that there was option for everyone. You know, if you wanted to layer up, that's how I teach as well. Like if you want to take another step here, you can, but if not, then you can stay here, you know, and you can also use this prop and you can use that prop. So that's awesome. Okay, I wanted to mention is, what is flow? So flow, it just means it's a sequence. So the way yoga classes, if you've never done them before, if you haven't been to one, you haven't watched one, you have no idea what it is, it's a sequence of poses, and you're kind of building up to usually a peak pose, sometimes several, and then you're building down from that to get to your meditation posture, which is your Shavasana at the end. So you keep on moving pose from pose, and you keep on being transitioned by the breath. So it's never like you stop and you don't do anything like in a gym class, yeah? And then you do the next exercise. So this is all very seamless. And one good thing to bear in mind is you don't have to do everything that's offered in a class. Everything is an offering, it's not a mandate. You okay, hun? So if a teacher is making you do the option even if you don't want to, then that's not the right teacher for you. Or for anyone really, in my opinion. Not to bash teachers, but it's a very old school mentality that is forcing people into shapes and racking them into shapes. We all have different bodies, and although we ask students and clients at the start of the class, do you have any injuries? There's so many things that happen to you throughout your life that in that moment you're not going to remember to say. So sometimes people have really old injuries that they forget that they exist because they don't feel them in their everyday life, and then you get into a shape, and if you push someone, then maybe that discomfort comes through, and it might be just mental, it might not be an actual damage in the tissue of the body, but mentally that pain might come back or whatever. So rather than just touching and putting people headlessly into shapes just for the sake of the right look of the alignment, I encourage people to feel it in their body and notice where can they take their own adjustments, where can you strengthen more, where can you engage more the muscles, where is it that on the other hand you can soften and relax, that you hold tension that you don't need it. Very often it's the jaw, the neck. This is very common area that we just are really stiffly holding and looking up. I must be looking at the hand because that's where my drishti is going. And then you're like, oh, but this is not right because I slept on this side wrong today. So maybe I can turn my head down and oh, this is lovely now. So this is what I mean. Take your adjustments, and if anyone makes you feel bad for them, and kind of verbally criticizes you in class, happened to me before, then that's the class you don't need to take again after that. You wrap up your mouth, you say, thank you very much, I learned something today, and that is that this is not for me. You walk away, you don't come back, you take a different class. Shop around, find the right teacher that works for you, the one that you click with in terms of language, in terms of sequences, how dynamic the class is. Bear in mind that teachers will teach different styles of classes. So I teach slow flow, but I also teach vinyasa, power yoga, I also teach yin, flow to restore. So just because you came to a slow flow class with me and that was too slow for you, that doesn't mean I can't teach quicker. Just means that you need to sign up to the right class. So that might be something to consider. But maybe there's a specific way you realize you enjoy your classes in, so a certain style. There might be a certain pace that you expect in your vinyasa class that is not too quick, not too slow, and you need to shop around to find the right teacher for it. So I hope this was a good explanation in terms of how the different styles of classes look like, what you might be able to see on a studio schedule, and what you should be booking on. So once again, the slowest from all of these, the most relaxing ones, will be yin yoga and restorative yoga. They can still be challenging for the mind because you're holding the same pose for several minutes, and some people really struggle with the stillness of the mind, which is why you should actually practice it, but it might not be the one for you to start your practice, your journey. So the next step up from there would be hatha yoga or slow flow. So it's a flow class that's taken in an even pace. You have plenty of time and support between the poses to take your adjustments, to still relax and take in an easy pace. There's no hurry. Maybe that's what your nervous system needs. Or you feel energetic and you just want to burn that fire and use it because this is the moment in the month. I can definitely relate to that. Then take a vinyasa class, a dynamic vinyasa class, power yoga class, or heck, if you want to try more specific classes like ASHTANGA, go for it. If the teacher does it right, you should be able to follow any class, okay? At least to some degree. Is it knocked up? Oh, thanks. Sucker for bad decisions. Should be a song now. Look at that though. Love it. Finished teaching for the day. I'm very excited. Look at the light. Teaching here we just figured out with the guys from the class that it's been a year and 4 months. And the view is the best here. In the summer you get the golden hour for the entire length of the class. So good. Show you outside. windy. I love this class, it's the best. I say about all of my classes, to be honest. I love them all. I love my job. So pretty. And this is honestly nothing like in the summer. So good. I realized quite last minute that I actually got dinner with friends and Stefano, so I brought a top with me and I'm gonna literally wear the same thing, just put a different top on, and that's gonna be it. It's the best I can do. On the bike ride here I got lost because I was going on the riverside and bike bridge, and it's like a long way to get there. The bridge was shut. I had to go around, and then my Google Maps wasn't updating, so it just wouldn't give me any other option. It kept on telling me, make a U-turn, go back. I'm like, I don't want to make a U-turn. There's nothing there, hun. This top is from Nobody's Child, and I really like that brand, to be honest. You get really nice, like, flowery prints, and I've got a few dresses from them as well. I don't find any other sock. I was in a rush, so it's aubergine. Aubergine colored socks. I might do like a partial tuck. Does it work? I think that works. Done. I'll get them aubergine socks. Alright, got it with my macrame bag. Soon a similar one will be available to buy, and it will be a limited edition and it will be made to order. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stay tuned and follow me on Instagram, because that's where I'll be updating all of that. Right, let's have pizza. So it's the day of wrong turns and failed navigations. By accident I got out in Cannon Street. I got off in Bank, but I took the wrong exit and I went through the tunnel into Cannon Street. So I added extra few minutes of walk. But the sky is really nice, so that's okay. That could top this experience would be if I end up in the wrong pizza pilgrims. Imagine. I definitely can. It looks better inside. Are we like literally the only customers? Same t-shirt, same look, same day, but an outro. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, if you have any questions, leave them below, and also don't forget to leave in the comments what are your questions about starting a yoga practice or going to your first yoga class, or how to create a routine for yourself. Anything around the theme of quite new to yoga, what do I do? Anything, any questions, pop them below so I can dive into them in my next video that will be live next Friday or Saturday. We'll see. Stay tuned, make sure to watch it, and enjoy your bank holiday. Bye!